RACV launched a publication for its members way back in 1922 in February, and it stood determinedly for them and the wider Victorian community. It was just second nature to have the RACV card with you, or the RACV keyring identification.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And of course, getting the magazine, as we did when I was a kid, it goes right back to where it showed you to go to maps to Eildon and King Lake.
I know.
And it'd follow your journey to Adelaide and Sydney.
My father was getting the magazines in the 1930s.
I'm a member of the RACV club, and I don't think that the club was around in those early days. May have been in a different form.
Yeah, I think there was always road service of some type.
No, but the RACV club club rooms.
Oh, I see. Like with accommodation and meals and things.
But there's, see, Burke Street's the big club.
Yes, I don't know when that all began.
I don't know about when people became members of the club. But certainly knowing the history of it is Alison Dean, the editor of Royal Auto. Hello, Alison.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Well, you send that out every month, don't you?
We send it out 11 times a year, so December and January is a combined edition.
Yeah, well, what a success story. And the emphasis always seems to be on travel rather than on transport.
Well, look, it's always been a little bit like that. It's had both of the focuses there, and of course, RACV did start as a club first, and then went into motoring after that. So we've always had that motoring thing, but I think very much it was still a travel situation, because they were always, as you were just talking about, they were always producing maps way back then.
Yes.
And so travel was. They even at one stage they were printing little patterns of how to make a caravan. So they always had travel in their minds.
I've always thought the RACV should organise a little transport museum there at your headquarters in the city.
Well, they do in the form of marvellous cars. In the foyer there's always a classic car.
There is always a classic car, and they're either from Victorians or from the Heritage Collection, and RACV's got a pretty spectacular Heritage Collection there that they wheel out every now and again, so it's pretty gorgeous. And for the first, for February, March and April, Royal Auto is going to be a little bit a part of that exhibition, so they're going to be showing a bit of its history alongside some of those beautiful cars.
Looking at the cavalcade of some of the front covers of the RACV Automobile Club of Victoria, back in 1922, the old roadsters going down or up and down the unmade Hume Highway, presumably, with the Lady of Law, you know, the lady with the scales, in a ghost-like vision above the cars, in other words, saying the law is on your side.
The scales of justice.
The scales of justice.
Yes, and of course when the RACV club started, Alison, there wouldn't have been many cars on the road.
No, not many at all compared to nowadays, where there is absolutely so many. But I think the thing that the club really showed out in those very early stages, and it was that symbol of let's do the right thing, let's find out what's going on for our motorists and really lobby for them. And they thought the magazine had a place for that. And I can remember reading one early president's column, and it said there is nothing more powerful than the pen rightly wielded. And it's comments like that make you think, well, they were really there to try and make sure that the motorists were I suppose had a voice.
There's never ever been a competitor to the RACV service, i.e. the vans running in and out of the city day and night, and there's never in my memory been a competitor.
It's pretty hard with an icon like that, isn't it? I suppose those vans have been around for so many years. It really is hard to get somebody else out there with that same name and that same acknowledgement for the reliability. And it's the personal service too, I think, that really matters.
Alison, did they have roadside assist from the very start?
They had it quite early on because of the need for helping each other. It wasn't actually a formal process in those early days, though, like it is now. It was more helping buddies in the club.
Yes, it's almost become like an icon, the term RACV. Oh, did you ring the RACV? It's not like a brand name. It's just like part of our lives.
It is like part of our lives, and it's funny because obviously the name of the magazine's evolved and the name of RACV has evolved, but we still know what it stands for, and I think that's a really interesting part, that it can keep on moving and changing, and everyone still knows what it is and what it stands for.
Now you're a network, aren't you? Both of all states throughout Australia and overseas, and I think of the RACV club in London.
Yes, Yes, there is a network of automobile clubs, and definitely through the states of Victoria, and then obviously overseas, and we have lots of partner clubs as well. So
I see.
nice little network.
Suddenly you've gone very trendy in the magazine for the first time, simply being called RA.
Well, yes, and the thing is, you know, for a lot of people out there, they might think, oh my goodness, how radical. But in actual fact, the magazine has, over its 90 years, had many, many different names, including at one stage the very radical Radiator.
Oh, so it did, yes. As I say, my father used to collect them back in the 30s, you know.
Yes.
They're real keepsakes. I suppose you have every copy on file as well.
That's right. So it's you know, it's never just been the RACV Journal or Royal Auto. It's been all sorts of different things through its different times. So this is just one other incarnation, but the name Royal Auto still is very much on the front, and obviously the RACV logo, even in the new designs.
And they've gone into home insurance and home assist as well as roadside assist.
As well as resorts. They're just everywhere now.
Yes, they are, yes.
And to insurance. And in the club rooms, I visit the old lamps, the old lights from Nepean Highway at Carrum, those clock lights.
Oh, the traffic lights.
Yes.
Yes, I remember them well.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Alison, on your 90th birthday.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Alison, see you soon.
Bye, nice to talk to you.
And happy birthday, RACV.